Hello and welcome to today's historic best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on Green Black Elves. Green Black Elves does exactly what you would think from the name. It is a primarily green elf based deck that uses anything from mana dorks to elf lords and payoffs, and even splashing into some of the black elves that also care about other elves, like from Kaldheim with A-Skemfar Avenger, or with Shaman of the Pack. I don't remember what the set from this is from originally, but it's another black card that cares about elves. Where normally elves like to summon a really wide board and get a bunch of mana with cards like Priest of Titania or Elvish Archdruid, and then use some card like Crater Hoof Behemoth, or in our case like Elvish War Master or Allosaurus Shepherd to make a big scary board. This deck does all the same things, minus the Crater Hoof Behemoth, and instead runs a couple Shamans of the Pack to turn all of our go-wide elves into damage over the top. Beyond that, I'm also running 4 Collected Company, since all of the elves we want to hit anyway are all perfectly good hits to find off of a Collected Company. Just adds more rigidity and resilience and consistency, basically everything you want in a sort of go wide, go fast, aggressive deck. And this is on top of all of the innate synergy and buffs that elves already have. Besides that, we also have some card draw, which is a thing that the more traditional go wide into a Crater Hoof decks can kind of struggle with. We get around that by running some Realm Walkers and Skemfar Avengers, as well as you can kind of include Disciple of Freyalise if you ever manage to get there. Another thing you can also spend all those oodles of mana on. But those are our card draw packages. We don't have a whole lot of interaction, if we're being entirely honest. Our game plan is very proactive of, again, going wide, but we do have some copies of Fel the Profane. Since we already wanted to run black sources anyway, it's a very low opportunity cost to include these dual-faced cards in the deck. And that is the basics of our go wide list. Our land base is also pretty simple. Again, besides the aforementioned dual face lands. Cavern of Souls to deal with counter spells if we need them, as well as color fixing. Overgrown Tomb because it's good. Nurturing Peat lands, so you can always cash it in to draw a card if you need it, and some forest. You can make an argument that we're not running as many land as you might want to run otherwise in a deck, but with the various mana dorks that we have floating around, you can kind of get away with running a little less land, since a lot of your elves can sort of double function as lands if you need to. And the sideboard, also pretty simple. Heroic Intervention if you're going against some blue-white control deck, or if a deck has sweepers, basically, you bring in Heroic Intervention. Single copy of Necromantia for the odd combo deck floating around. Tainted Remedy for life gain decks. Crippling Fear for a sweeper that should be one-sided more often than not. A couple Bitter Triumphs, because sometimes you just do need some interaction, and Bitter Triumph is a pretty flexible one you can always run at very little cost, and it hits a wide variety of things. Ooze for graveyard decks, or if you need life gain. Reclamation Sage for a naturalize effect that is also an elf and is also a hit off a Collected Company. Beautiful. I'm running a couple of Chameel the Inner Suns, since I've had a lot of experience against both counter spell heavy decks can sometimes be a problem, but also there's been a whole lot of black heavy discard decks, and our card draw isn't so strong, even with a Skemfar Avenger and a Realm Walker. It's not so strong that you can get past those mono black solely discard decks that is all they're trying to do. Chameel lets you, through the Discover ability, just try and claw some extra card drawback in a permanent type artifacts that those typically mono black decks have a hard time interacting with. And that is the basics of the list. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions, like I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. I will say, really fast, this particular version of the list is not very budget friendly. There's loads of mythic rares and rares, both in land base and in the actual, like, meat of the deck itself. So this particular list could be hard to copy one from one, but like all of my list, none of them are like hard requirements. They're more recommendations. But anywho, now we'll go on to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little green-black elves. No 1-drop, 3 lands, 4 spells, and a Cocoa. Yeah, we'll keep it. Not the most excited, granted, but we take what we can get. Okay. We know nothing other than a blue deck our opponent is running. So, we'll play Cavern Naming Elves, in case they go to counter this. Play the War Master, start getting a good amount of triggers off of, off of the War Master passive, building up a large board. Maybe some sort of affinity deck, which is very possible. Gonna keep Shaman of the Pack to go over the top. Suppose we do A-Skemfar Avenger. I don't think they'd run that many counterspells. They appear to be like a mono blue version. I guess you could, whatever the name, I could never remember the name of this card, but I know the card. The improvised counterspell or improvised mana leak kind of thing. You know what? Honestly, yeah, we'll go ahead and attack. If we don't apply pressure early on, the Simulacrums or the Karnstructs, if you want to call them, can get out of hand very quick. In the meantime, Collected Company. Hope we hit some lords. Let's see. Everybody dies in this trade no matter what. Can draw 2, so I don't think we need another. I guess Priest. Give us a War Master trigger. We're going to lose a good chunk of our board, but they lose all of theirs. And this at least gives us the mana to next turn play more responses and not like take that much of a loss in tempo. Is it like mono blue affinity or is it mono blue artifacts? Don't know what our opponent's running, but I genuinely enjoy this. That's fine. Guess Cavern. Naming Elf. I guess we could do a Priest first. Might as well tap an Archdruid for mana. We'll Fell the Profane on one of theirs. Leftover mana. Elvish Clancaller. Now we just need to fire off the Shaman of the Pack just to keep their life total low enough so they aren't like drawing cards off of Cosmos Elixir. And honestly, I think I happily attack. We're an aggressive deck. We're gonna be able to like generate a good amount of dudes anyway. I mean, and I guess they could be running like a Cyclonic Rift or something, which would like absolutely be a blowout. Although, I guess even if they do run it, I love our opponent's list. So it is like mono blue artifacts. Their deck is awesome. Like unironically, I love this. I mean, we know that Reclamation Sages are coming in. Maybe a Chameel the Inner Sun, like a singleton copy. They haven't shown they're running a lot of what's what's the word? They haven't shown running any counter spells, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have access to them and they just like haven't hit them yet. Let us draw. It's not helpful. Although nurturing peat lands are pretty good. Like we talked about in the deck tech, we can always cash these in for cards if we need to. Clancaller something. Okay. Go ahead and cash in the other peat land. Elvish Archdruid's pretty good. Hold on, am I overthinking this or do I just kill him? I attack with my whole board. He has 3 blockers. Biggest blockers on my board. He blocks a 6, a 4, and a 4. That leaves 2 4s, a 3, 2 4s, and a 3 is in fact oftentimes more than 9. So I think we just attack and win, right? I don't think my math is wrong. Yeah, blocks the biggest stuff on the board. 6 and 2 4s. 4, 4, and 3 is oftentimes more than 9. Oh yeah, there we go. Well, Rex Ages are coming in, no question. Maybe like a single Chamil. A-Skemfar Avengers can go down a couple. They aren't really destroying my elves to like make the most use of it. Let's see. We took out 2 creatures for 2 creatures, so we don't gotta dilute the company count. That's a good question. What's the last thing we cut? I guess Titania. It's nice to have an additional like Elvish Archdruid style effect for mana. But I would argue, at least in non-mirror matchups, Archdruid is the better one to keep just because it is a lord and nothing else, where the priest, well, yes, it does produce mana, that's all it does. At least the Archdruid, like, puts a little more pressure on our opponent, and we love that. Also, the fact that they're not doing a whole lot with their early turns. Turn 1, Elvish Mystic. Is really great for us. If our opponent's going to largely just leave us be, we'll take those. I'm not picky enough. Patchwork Automaton's good. That is a good one. I guess we'll do a War Master. Attack with the Automaton, because they never in a million years take this block, nor should they. Access Tunnel's cute. You know, our opponent could easily run... nice. Run the... I think it's Seat of the Synod is the blue artifact lands. And even the... if we wanted to... Darksteel Citadel. Although, from the looks of it, opponent's deck doesn't seem that affinity-based. It just seems like big artifact scary thing based. So who knows? I could be totally wrong. I guess we'll do a Leaf Crown Visionary. Don't do that. I don't mind losing the life. Thought about paying for the draw, but right now, applying pressure. If they want to trade a Patchwork Automaton for an Elvish Mystic, we're happy to make that trade. One is more important than the other. Let's see. Panharmonicon's pretty good. Yeah, I was about to say, even with all that, our opponent didn't need to scoop. That's one of those, they could have taken a trade. And honestly, there's an argument to be said that they should have taken that trade with the Mystic just to keep my numbers down. Which is really unfortunate. I wanted to see more of what our opponent's deck was, and it was like a really interesting deck. But like, also, you're in blue. You have to run some interaction. And one of the perks about a lot of the affinity cards, especially if you use the Simulacrum, is that it's not a super difficult... Hang on. It is cast. Okay, it's a little different. But it's not that hard to, like, build up some sort of defenses early on. Like, you can do it in blue, granted you don't have, you know, the greatest bounce effects, but like, or sweeping bounce effects, but even like, I think our opponent could have kept going through here. They just would have had to make an uncomfortable trade of throwing away an automaton. But like, they very much so like could have won and still been in it, which is unfortunate. I really liked what our opponent was doing. But we're an aggressive deck, and sometimes, you know, you just run people down. But anywho, on to game number 2. And game number 2 with our green-black elves list. It's a 1-lander, don't keep it. I want to keep it, but don't. And that's a 2-lander. We'll happily take those. I guess we get rid of Collected Company just because it's the highest cost thing in our hand. And also, we're the furthest, as a result, the furthest away from casting that thing naturally. In the meantime, Garden of Freyalise, Elvish Mystic. We'll likely do the Leaf Crown Visionary first, just so we can, if nothing else, if we start missing land drops, we might be able to cash in on the card draw part of the Visionary to make some things happen. Maybe find some land drops, more gas, or that. Doesn't really tell me that much, but sure. We will play the Cavern of Souls, actually. Naming Elf, just in case they have some counterspells floating around. And in the meantime, we bonk them. Don't know what our opponent's running. A Dimir deck that likes enchantments. And you have to really like enchantments or have a way to sacrifice them. Because that's 3 less target permanent you control. Return up 2 target. I mean, that's cute. Yeah, that's cute. I don't know if it's good. In the meantime, I mean, they have technically done some tempo stuff and messed me up for a turn. I'm gonna decline and just go wide. With any luck, if they're gonna try and out tempo me, I might be able to just run them down before they can really start like pulling ahead with all the time they gain. You could play the thing again, the Hopeless Nightmare, whatever that thing's called. Yeah, Hopeless Nightmare. Which is an option, and it does make me throw away a Mystic, which is, in an abstract way, card draw. But we can just get lucky and draw another. We will pay this, since we have nothing else to do anyway. Also, again, just applying pressure, going face with elves, doing what elves loves to do, regardless of the build, or if you're running a mono-green version, or other, you know, various elf-style decks. Like Dimir, like enchantment-y tempo stuff. I guess we'll pay that and just close out the game unless they have a push. Okay. Okay, they're running some enchantments. So if we're being responsible, Rexage. They're not destroying a whole lot of my creatures, so Skemfars can go out. And it's a pretty easy flip here. Maybe Chamil if they start really leaning into the discard stuff. But I think we're okay for now. What was I? Oh, yes, I remember what I was going to say. Because this is an aggressive deck, if this game also happens to be kind of shorter, but is, like, for the most part, a pretty full and complete game, I will only do 2 games. Partly because this is actually pretty authentic to, like, the experience of piloting the deck. And 2, I'm a human being who has time constraints and, you know, just trying to build up a little bit of the net so I can, you know, if real life comes up, I can have at least a video in storage ready to go. And I would like to... It's like Dimir enchantments. Enters. Make Otter Dude. This becomes level 2. I'll try to return my point. Return insert a sorcery graveyard to hand. Cast a spell. instant or sorcery, make another otter. So yeah, some sort of like Dimir, I'm gonna say tempo-y thing. I remember where I was. Don't mistake the way I'm talking about my opponent's deck as some sort of like knock on what they're doing. Much like in the mono blue artifact thing our opponent was running last game. I meant it when I said this. I sincerely enjoy watching people try stuff and making new builds. I love seeing people's creativity in this game. So don't mistake my confusion as, I guess, slander, for lack of a better way to like word it. Confusion is just confusion in this case. And it's one of the reasons why, if you would have seen, I think, the last Magic the Gathering video I did, I sort of got Mythic for the first time in a while. One, so that I can sort of prove to myself that I can, if I try hard, I can really get to Mythic if I want to, having gotten to Mythic a couple times before. But why I say all of that is, I don't have fun at Mythic. So, right here, this rank where I am, we don't take that block ever. The rank where I am now is like what I really enjoy. It's where I find Magic to be the most fun. So I'm happy to be in the middle ground, if anybody's ever wondering why I don't tend to make the strongest or best decks. Because I don't think the best deck stuff is that fun. Now, what the hell do I do? The deck is really fascinating. I guess we can do a Rex Sage. Probably get rid of Storm Chaser's talent. I don't want them getting extra copies of their, like, Go for the Throat or something. I think we play the Clancaller. I was tossing it in my head of whether I should keep open blockers, but they're clearly in their little Dimir tempo thing. They're going to have enough prowess triggers on the Otter to threaten the board anyway. And I really don't want to give up Archdruid, but I'd be more okay giving up a Reclamation Sage if I had to. It's kind of done what I want it to do. It's fascinating though. The deck is super interesting. Kaito's a little less interesting. We're gonna keep it a buck, but Kaito's one of those blue glue cards, or Dimir glue cards, I should say. Get emblem during your turn, as long as he has one or more loyalty counters, as long as he's alive. He's a 3/4 ninja and has hexproof. Emblem, Ninja Lord, 0 cost, surveil to draw a card if each opponent has lost life. Cool. In the meantime, guess we do Clancaller. And then we'll do A-Skemfar Avenger. And I think this is like the pivotal point where we just go. I don't think we need to super worry about Kaito. Oh, there is a down tick I didn't see. Tap creature, 2 stun counters on it. Okay. I mean, they can down tick it and turn off an attacker, which is something. To their credit, that is something, and it does help them. Okay. I'm beginning to think that they're a little less of some like really cool Dimir tempo thing, and they're just a budget version of like Dimir Ninjas, which is like still something, but it's just less cool than a whole new brew, if that makes sense. Still fun, and still not like a super commonplace deck. So like again, once again, but for much the same reason, don't mistake that as like slander. Just, you know, they can't all be winners. Okay, what do we do here? We attack with the whole crew. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers, so they can in theory block everything on my board. So there's that. Do we care? I think we'll play the Realm Walker no matter what. or not, they were fine. They were fine. Okay, sure. Okay. The first game, the actual game one with the mono blue artifact thing, how I talked about our opponent didn't need to scoop there. At least in that game, like, I had a big board. They weren't doing a lot and weren't like progressing their own board. So odds are they were gonna die or lose the game, however you want to word it. So like that one I get. This scoop is, pardon my French, fucking stupid. They're fine. They're 1,000% alive. I guess if we're living in magical Christmas land, I could somehow play like maybe like a Crater Hoof for like an in-race Forerunners, and maybe, or even, for being honest, if I would have saw like a Skemfar, not Avenger, the Shaman of the Pact or whatever, the other black, yeah, the Shaman of the Pact that goes over the top. I guess if I would have found that off the Realm Walker, he would have been dead. But, like, the Realm Walker didn't even resolve. So, like, none of us know that. They just, like, panic scooped, which was kind of goofy. Our opponent was totally in this, and they were fine. But sure, I guess, whatever makes them happy. And to be fair, maybe they had some IRL stuff come up, I guess, and it was just convenient timing. But anywho, that is Green-Black Elves. Honestly, a really fun list, and is one of those, if you like, you know, aggressive decks that are, you know, tribal-based, and you want, like, a good entry point into the format, and a deck that will, if you're just getting into the format, and you're, like, trying to see if you like it, and you have, you know, enough wild cards and resources, whatever, to, like, have a tester deck to feel out the format, Elves is a fantastic one to do it with. My own ego would love to say run this particular list, but even if you just wanted to run Elves in the abstract to like get a feel for the format, it's a good deck to pick if you were going to do that, regardless of how the particular build of whatever you want to play Elves wise works. Elves is one of those decks that, at least in my experience, it's always really, really solid. You'll never go more than like 20 games without seeing some version of an Elves list, so it's common enough. It performs well. It can, you know, complete quest for you, and if you want to do like the somewhat free-to-play grind, at least the healthy version of it, like I do for the most part, Elves is another really good one to do. So yeah, good list. I recommend you try it at home, and if you have any other comments or questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I'll respond to what I see. Don't forget to like the video if you like it and would like to see more. And subscribe to me if you like me and would like to see more. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.